I literally just started screaming, fell on the floor. And because it was on a laptop, it was kind of low volume. And my mom is standing there next to my brother. She goes, "Oh my God, Joey, why is your sister on the floor? She looks ridiculous. There's cameras on her. She's rolling around on the floor."
Ever since I found out I was interviewing you, I've been so excited because I haven't been able to get "We Can't Stop the Beat" out of my head. I'm like walking around. I'm like, you can't stop the motion of the ocean. How, like, are these songs to this day, like, do they get stuck in your head?
Honestly, yes. I will notice that I'll just be walking around the house and I'll be singing something. And then like, all of a sudden I'll just be like, "Welcome to the 60s." And I'm like, what? Like, stop. Like, why is it playing? It plays nonstop. But I think it's also because I do cameos. So I'm always singing in them, those songs. And so it's just constantly, the record that's playing up here.
I can't believe it's been 15 years. That doesn't seem real.
That makes two of us that can't believe it. I look back now and I'm like, I was a 17-year-old kid when I joined that production and got my dream role. And now I'm like, here we are 15 years later. And I'm just like, wow, I can't believe it. I'm in my 30s now and people are still celebrating Hairspray like it just came out last week. Yeah. And I'm eternally grateful for that.
What is the number one question that you get? Like the number one request you get from Cameo, or when people stop you on the street, what is the number one thing they say?
On Cameo, it's a lot of requests for it's been really sweet. A lot of it is like birthdays or anniversaries. Some people have used like me singing "I Can Hear the Bells" in a cameo as they walked down the aisle. And when they ran into me in person, they were like, "I walked down the aisle to your song that you did a cameo for." And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I just feel so honored that people include me in their special days. The question I get asked most is, what was it like working with all of those huge A-listers, especially as a young, newcomer who literally had never had a job in the entertainment business ever. I was scooping ice cream. That was what my job was for 2 years before I got Hairspray. So, yeah, it's amazing to see that it's still going strong and people still love it and feel the love from it. And they always want to know who I still keep in touch with. And I always say, well, you got to keep in touch with your mom. So John is the one that has had my heart from the minute I met him. He will forever be one of the most special people in my life. And he keeps in touch with me. Not a birthday, not a holiday goes by where we don't hear from each other. And it's just so lovely to just have that. People say when you get into the business, you find out who like your real friends are. Mm-hmm. And he just, you can do movies and people play your parents or your best friends or whatever. And then life goes on and you move on to other things. And John made such a conscious decision and effort, and he still does, to just be so present in my life, help guide me, give me advice. But also he's always and forever will be, I know, the person that I can go to just ask questions, or just because his advice to me is like, godly advice.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask because, that was like your first movie. You were working at Cold Stone. You step on the set. You're with John Travolta. Do you remember the best piece of advice that you got on that set from somebody?
Yes, it was from John. And he looked at me one day and he said, "I just want you to know, never change who you are for this business or for anyone in it. Always be Nikki, stay true to your heart." And that was the best piece of advice I could get then and now. Anybody could get, really. But I was at such a young age. And at that age, the business can try and change you. People, different representatives can try and change you to fit a mold. Mm-hmm. Even though I had some times where the work was slow or whatever, I didn't seem like I was, doing as much or as many movies as I was in the past. I still remembered like John's words: stay true to yourself. Mm. take, the projects that you feel in your heart are right. And, and that's why I will always do that.
I love that advice, because I've even had jobs where it's like, you kind of are in a position where you can compromise yourself, like who you are, to get further. But it's like, then you feel like icky and not like yourself.
Yeah, I wanted to be known for, my work and what I do, and not for like, my body or whatever, or my face. Like, granted, like, I appreciate my parents. They gave me a decent mug, but it's like that kind of stuff was never like important to me. For me, it's always been about the work, and that's what I wanted to be known for. And to this day, that's what I'll always want to be known for, because that's what's important. It's always important what's inside, because I always say this all fades away. We're all going to get old and we're all going to leave this earth someday, but it's about the impact and the goodness and the kindness that you put out into the world while you're here. Mm-hmm. Because if people really make a conscious effort, like Tracy, or you know what I mean, or other characters in other movies that are just purely good-hearted, if people just practice one small act of kindness a day, it would make the world such a lighter, brighter place.
Absolutely. And you're talking about, Tracy and kind of this hold that like Hairspray has on people, right? Like, if this is a moment, that was a moment in time. And I literally just showed this movie to my boyfriend like a month ago, and he was like, that was really good. I was like, you didn't know about Hairspray? Like, what the hell? But what sticks out to you about when the movie came out? Like, when it was released, that week, the premiere, the reception, what do you remember most about that?
For me, it was a whirlwind. It was like, when the movie first came out or was coming out, we went on a massive press tour, and we were in a different city every couple of days doing junkets and then premieres. But for me, I had two really special moments. One was the night that the movie came out. John and I went to a restaurant and we saw all the numbers, and we watched each city just like top the next one with how many people were going to the theater. And we were just like, oh my gosh. And they took Zac and I that night, put us in like baseball caps and in the back of an SUV, and they would pull up to several theaters through New York City. And that's my hometown, like New York. So I was like, oh my gosh. And we would go in during the end of You Can't Stop the Beat, and just people were on their feet, dancing, clapping with us. Zac and I are just standing there looking at each other. I'm crying. And then they're like, okay, guys, we got to get you out before everybody sees. So we would rush out and like run to the next theater. It was so much fun. And then for me, the New York premiere of Hairspray, I would say, was the most special, because like I said, it's always about who you have with you to share these moments. And I had my entire family with me. My uncle, who's not with us anymore, who was my inspiration, and he was an actor. And I got to introduce him to John that night. Aww. And he see my movie and see, our work before he passed away. He passed away a couple months later. So, I mean, for me, that was like the highlight of my life. Just like having those premieres and traveling overseas and going to places that I never could have imagined that I would go to, and just the reception of the fans, the beautiful fans all over the world, was just like, well, traveling with Zac, I felt like I was traveling with the Beatles. Yeah. Screaming. It was amazing. But I mean, I was screaming inside because I was just so excited to be traveling.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, at that time, like, Zac Efron is still a hot, amazing, like, A-list star, but at that time, that was like High School Musical. Like, he was,
oh, trust me, I know, like,
teen heartthrob. I had a calendar of Hairspray, and it was like a Link Larkin calendar.
Probably the one that Tracy had in her room. Yeah, he is awesome. we definitely had a blast. We were on, I think it was like a 10-month world tour back and forth. It was just, we were all over, and we went to every city together. And it was just so nice to do it with not just my co-star at the time, but somebody who truly was like my best friend on set. So
I love that.
We had a blast.
You're talking about like the surrealness of that. And I feel like there's a lot of things like when I interview like big people, I'm like, this feels like a dream. Like this doesn't feel real. So I kind of get through it and I work and I do my job, and it doesn't hit me till like much later that I'm like, oh my God, like I just did this iconic thing. And like, this was such a big deal. Do you remember like when it actually set in for you? Like Hairspray is, for me, that's in my constant library. It's like, I watch like Legally Blonde, Easy A, Hairspray. Like that is a mainstay for me. When did it kind of hit you that was the impact that Hairspray was going to have?
It still continues to hit me when I hear fan stories of how they identify with Tracy because they were a plus size kid growing up and they were bullied, and now they're, Tracy gave them confidence or helped them find their confidence. And just hearing people's stories of what Hairspray means to them and how they carry it in their heart, and it just continues to blow my mind because each story just tops the next. I'm just blown away, truly, every single day that I got to be a part of this amazing musical that I fell so in love with when I saw the Broadway version when I was 15. And so I know what it's like to love Tracy so much because I loved her so much after I saw her on Broadway. I was like, I have to play her. Like I felt it. I've never had a feeling so deep in my gut and in my chest. I just knew sitting there, I was like, I have to do this. Like, there's no other option. I will play Tracy one day.
Yeah.
I just didn't think it would be so soon. But it's just, for me, that's the most special part is just, and also doing these interviews and just talking about the fun times and walking down memory lane and being like, oh my gosh, like, this is incredible. Remember this time, remember that time. Like,
yeah,
it's a blast.
And I remember, I think we're the same age. But it was like, I remember when you got cast in it, how like it was such a dream come true story because you saw Tracy on Broadway and then you were like, I have to play her. I know you've told the story a million times, but can you just walk me through that?
Yeah. So it was my 15th birthday and I had a neighbor who always took me to like Broadway shows and stuff for my birthday. And she always was exposing me to theater, and I thank her to this day for it. And so for my 15th birthday, she said, there's a new musical out and I'm taking you and your mom and we're going. It's called Hairspray. And we went. And from the minute the curtains opened and I heard, I was sold. Done. I was like, who is that? Who is that character? I had never seen really a character in a show who was plus size, but was dancing and singing and vivacious and just ready for life and wanted to make the world a better place. And I was like, I knew I had to get my hands on, that role somehow. Yeah. And I ended up auditioning for the Broadway show when I was 16. I was an avid buyer of Backstage magazine. And so I would go every week to the train station, get my Backstage, circle the auditions, and I opened it and it said, casting for Hairspray on Broadway. And I'm like, oh. I was 16. I went in, I got 3 callbacks, and then they said to me, we love you, but you're just too young. We can get somebody a little older, who's out of high school, and it reads younger on stage. And I was just heartbroken. But my grandmother always told me my whole life, everything happens for a reason, mm-hmm. and what's for you will find you, and it's meant for you. So I just kept telling myself that. And on my 17th birthday, if anybody knows me, like, they know I'm a pretty determined person once I get my eye on something. And it was literally the morning of my 17th birthday. And I was like, all right, I'm a year older technically. So maybe there'll be new auditions for the Broadway show. So I go on the Broadway show website, and in big letters, it said, we're casting the movie. And I'm like, holding my breath, like, what are the ages? I scroll down and it said ages 17 to 24. I was like, yes! And it said, don't send in any tapes. I sent in a tape. And then I went to all the open call, did the whole 6 months of auditions, callbacks in LA, Baltimore. I mean, it was incredible. I never danced before Hairspray. So I learned to dance by an incredible choreographer, Zach Woodley, who was with me from one of the auditions. And then once I got the part, he was like, surprise, I'm your personal choreographer. Like, I'm going to work solely with you. And he was just brilliant, so patient with me. And it was just, yeah. And then it was the night after I got the role, which they told me at Cold Stone. They said, we're going to send a camera crew to each of the 4 final girls' hometowns. And for you, we'd like to come to Cold Stone. That was totally not true. It was, I think it was ET cameras.
And I used to work there.
Yeah. And they came in. I had no idea. I was asking New Line executives if they wanted rainbow sprinkles or chocolate sprinkles. I'm making them all Sundays. I'm like, I had no idea. And they said, would you sit down and watch some of the other people's screen tests? And I was like, yeah, sure, of course. Like, whatever you want me to do. I sat down and up popped Adam Shankman. It was on a laptop. And our director, Adam, and he goes, hi, Nikki. And he looked really sad. And I had my whole family surrounding me, my coworkers, my teachers who let me cut class to audition because they're amazing. And they were all there. But none of my friends knew I had auditioned. I hadn't told them. And because if I didn't get it, I wouldn't want to have to tell them why, because I wouldn't know, who knows why one thing works and one doesn't. So anyway, I sat down, watched it, and Adam said, well, honey, I think you should go make yourself a big ice cream cone because it's you. You got the part. You're playing Tracy Turnblad. And that was when I had my first outer body experience. Yeah. I felt like I was across the street watching it happen to someone else. I literally just started screaming, fell on the floor, and because it was on a laptop, it was kind of low volume. And my mom is standing there next to my brother. She goes, oh my God, Joey, why is your sister on the floor? She looks ridiculous. There's cameras on her. She's rolling around on the floor. I was like this, Mom, she got the part. And you just see my mom like freaking out. Everybody, it was so cute. My boss walked out with a help wanted sign.
Oh my God. I'm like getting emotional hearing this. It was
the sweetest moment. And then the next day was my senior prom.
Oh my God.
I went to prom, pre-prom, and I had to tell all of my friends who literally senior year, they were all telling me, they're making a Hairspray movie. You should audition. And I was just like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, but I'm too busy with college submissions and stuff. It's just a lot. Meanwhile, I was like already halfway through the process.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to, I'm superstitious and I didn't want to say anything. So I didn't. And then there I am at pre-prom with all of my friends who are all theater kids who were like, love Hairspray. And I was like, guys, I have something to tell you. And I got up and told them, and they were all just like shocked. And I was like, I'm just as shocked as you are. And then I got to prom, and there was a spray of like a massive spray of like 4 dozen long stem red roses. And there was a card that said, welcome to the Hairspray family.
Oh my God.
You found out where my prom was. You guys are amazing.
Oh my God.
So touched by it, really.
That's why, like, stuff like that too. I feel like it never feels real to me until I'm like physically like on set too. Like that must have been just so wild.
It was totally wild. And then they turned around and they said, okay, you have a week to pack up and then you're going to go to LA to start dance rehearsals. I was there for a few weeks. And then we all moved up to Canada as a company and shot up there I rehearsed up there for 2 months and then we shot for 6.
Oh my God. That's so wild. I love that story. You kind of like, you manifested this role. Like it was like, you were like destined to be Tracy Turnblad. If you could manifest anything like job-wise coming up, what would you want to do?
Well, there is a screenplay that I've been working on. And
Amazing.
well, actually, a friend of mine wrote it, and we've been working on it together, pitching it, and that's truly, I can't say what it's about, but it's my absolute other dream role. And so I really, really hope it comes to fruition, because it is just my dream.
Amazing.
And there's some brilliant songs in it, and I'm just, yeah.
Oh, good. I was like, we gotta get you back. Yes.
I'll be back in the booth. Don't you worry.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for this. This has been such an honor to talk to you. I love Hairspray so much. It was like me and my mom's movie. So it just means so much to be able to talk to you. It's like a dream.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And give your mom my best.
I will.
And tell your boyfriend I said thank you for watching. And I'm glad he liked it. And I appreciate your time as well.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
For loving the movie for so long.
I love it so much. And thank you for all your patience with the crazy tech stuff.
Oh, anytime.